Welcome, everyone. I'm Jennifer Cook-DeRosa with Homeschooling for College Credit. It's summertime, and this is a really good time to think about what you're going to do in this upcoming school year. And one of the things that I used to do over the summer was plan in the CLEP exams that my kids were going to take. Now, for this video, we're going to talk specifically to those of you who run your school, your homeschool, as a Christian homeschool. And I felt like it was a good opportunity to do this because we don't often address this issue. I just normally leave that up to the parent to decide. However, I think that there are some unique things to consider if you are a Christian homeschool, and CLEP exam, which is a secular exam, is actually a really good resource for you to use for your student. And so I thought that because that maybe didn't seem like an obvious decision, that I wanted to do a presentation and cover why I think that that's true. So let me just backstory real quick and tell you that when I was a homeschool mom, my kids were little, the very first time that I heard about CLEP, I was actually already 13 years into my career with Eastern Iowa Community College District. When I started there, I was an administrator. Later, when I got married and had kids, I switched over to a faculty member, but I did so much student advising and counseling and helping our students, figure out how to get through their degree. I never heard of CLEP. When I read about CLEP, it was in a book by a student who was homeschooled himself, whose mom had figured out how he could get some college credit. So when I read about it, I thought, that can't be true. That's probably not even legit. If it was legit, I've been here 13 years. I would have heard about it, right? So I went to our testing center and I asked my colleague if it was legit, if this was actually a real way for a student to test out and get college credit, because I'd never heard about it. And I found out, in fact, that it was legitimate and that in our college, you could, in fact, test out a 75% of your associate's degree and then transfer that on to a four-year university. So I was completely blown away by that. And I will say that what I kind of like to do is I like to test things for myself. I don't always trust what people tell me. And so I found a discarded textbook on the table outside of our bookstore that was called Human Growth and Development. And I used it to study for my first CLEP exam. I wanted to take one of these exams and see how realistic it was that a student could actually test out. I'm not a great test taker, and I had been out of school for a long time, so I thought, well, I'll check and see if it's possible. Well, it was possible. I read that Human Growth and Development textbook just like I was reading a normal book. I didn't take notes. I didn't know how to study for a CLEP, but I was able to pass. And so this kind of started me on a journey of understanding how you can outsource college credits, and you can do that using a lot of different resources. Now, at that moment, when I did that exam, I wasn't enrolled in college anywhere, and I used a book that was being discarded. But over time, when I started taking more CLEP exams and my kids started getting older and we started bringing CLEP into our homeschool, I realized that I had the choice and the opportunity to choose whatever curriculum we wanted and use whatever learning styles we wanted. So there's a lot of freedom that came along with that. And I think me taking that exam in the very beginning was really what prompted me to think about CLEP as a super homeschool friendly opportunity, because it really does work well in any homeschool program. So why would you want to outsource credit? Why would you want your student to take a CLEP exam instead of just going to the college when they get out of high school? Well, one of the things that you can think about with CLEP exams, or even other kinds of exams like advanced placement or DSST, is that this is really an easier road than scholarships, because you're able to spend time in high school lining these exams up with their curriculum in a way that allows them to earn potential college credit. And when they get ready to apply to college, if they've got a big stockpile of 30 or 45 or 60 college credits, this is money in the bank. This is a way for them to apply to college that's not only going to save time, but it's going to save money. A scholarship isn't really like that. A scholarship is an award that only some students get, and it's based on either merit or financial need, or in some cases, it could be based on something else, but it's not a guarantee. And once a student is in college, if for some reason that scholarship doesn't continue on and isn't renewed, then you may have been counting on money that isn't there. When you bring in college credit ahead of time, you've already shortened the amount of time that they have to be there. So you can still use scholarships, but you're just going to use them for the rest of their program. You don't have to use them over 4 years because you're coming in with college credit. So that, of course, saves you time. It helps your student either graduate early or on time. And students have a hard time graduating in 4 years, by the way. The statistics show that it's taking closer to 6 years for most students to graduate from college. So this could really be a tool to help them stay on track. And of course, any credit that they come in that counts is credit that you don't have to pay for later. So if your student comes in with 30 college credits, that's a whole year of college that you don't have to pay for. So that could be a lot of money. I'm going to show you an example at the end of the video where I break down how this works in a real situation and how you can save money using a real example, because I really think that when you see those numbers, it will blow your mind. But it allows you to stretch those grants, those scholarships, and those loans, and any savings that your student has and any cash that you've already saved. It allows you to use those for the more expensive credits, the ones that are harder to get. These CLEP credits are going to cover those 100 and 200 level courses, those early freshman courses, and those are the ones that you can do in high school. Later, when they're in college and they're trying to get those upper level credits, it's really hard to bring those costs down. So these are kind of low-hanging fruit opportunities for you to bring college credit in. So let's talk a little bit about CLEP. So there's currently 34 subjects. So they cover a lot of different subjects. There's all of the subjects that you teach in your high school for the most part, right? There's your language arts, which is going to have your composition and your literature. You've got your maths, you've got your history, your government, you've got all kinds of courses. You also have some electives in there like sociology and psychology or business. Your student can learn independently. Now, this is going to be the key to today's presentation because you can use faith-based curriculum to have your student test in this secular exam. And that's going to be something that is going to be important. Also, the parent is going to be the teacher. So when your student is being homeschooled, you're still the homeschool parent. You're still guiding the process. You're still the school administrator. So you have the opportunity to pick and choose what materials that they study for and how the studying fits into their program. So that's a big advantage. Also, the exams are multiple choice. So this is a lot easier than those of you who are considering the differences between AP and CLEP. Now, not all colleges take both exams. A lot of colleges will just take AP. But if your college takes both, or if one of the target colleges takes both, then just know that it's going to be easier to pass a CLEP because it's multiple choice. If you're not sure where your student is going to go to college, then absolutely have them take the CLEPs because as you're going to see today, the opportunity is there for them to get this credit and it's not going to harm them in any way. So they can collect all of this credit. And then if they get to use it later, great. If they don't, it's okay. It's not going to be a cost or it's not going to be a time that was wasted. And I'll explain more about why in just a minute. Any age, any grade can do a CLEP exam. And if you have a student that's younger than age 13 and they want to take an exam, you'll have to fill out a voucher or a waiver rather. And once that's on file with the College Board, they'll be fine and they can continue on as normal. But that very first time they take an exam, if they're under 13, they will need a waiver. If you are over 13, then there's no waiver and your student can take the CLEP anytime they want. So if your school year ends, at a weird time, then you can just take that exam and be ready for it. You don't have to organize it in the way that like advanced placement does, where you're only taking exams in May. You can have a student take an exam once a month if you wanted. There's a Modern States voucher that allows your student to save that $93 cost. CLEP does cost $93 right now at the time of recording this video. However, modernstates.org is a nonprofit organization that will give you unlimited vouchers for your student to take unlimited amounts of CLEP tests. And we have a lot of information on our website about how that voucher program works. We're not affiliated with the voucher program in any way, but I will link below the video so that you can get more information about that. You want to make sure that you get a voucher for every single exam that your student takes. That way their total cost is going to be zero. If your student passes or fails, the results are confidential. These results never get sent to a college unless you initiate that. So if your student fails, that's fine. It's not going to be held against them. That's a little different than with advanced placement or with a dual enrollment situation where those scores are permanent. So the disclosure piece is completely optional. In fact, you don't even have an opportunity to disclose it on the Common App. So this would be something that you would send to the colleges only if you wanted them to review the scores. And the score report that you receive, the transcript that College Board holds for your student, will only have on it the scores that your student has passed. So there won't be any failed scores on there anyway. So a college will never see if your student fails. And there is no limit. Your student could literally take all 34 exams, pass all 34 exams, and just hold that credit. And when they go off to college, the colleges will review those credits, and some colleges will award a little bit of credit. Other colleges may award a lot of credit, but you'll have that credit and they can send it in. So there's really no limit there. Approximately 75% of all colleges and universities in the United States participate in CLEP, which is to say that your student will get some amount of credit at almost all of the schools. So it is very, very valuable if you accumulate this credit before they go off to school. Now, again, CLEP is a secular exam, but it's accepted at secular and Christian universities. And so that is going to be a key. So why would you consider using a secular exam in your Christian homeschool? Well, because most of the schools do take CLEP, that's going to give you a lot of opportunities to teach some of these subjects that might otherwise have to come in the form of a class. And in the dual enrollment situation, you may not have a lot of control over that. Some of the subjects that are taught during dual enrollment or during college, during those freshman and sophomore years, are going to be general education courses, which is to say that all the students have to take them. So these courses can be a little bit difficult in terms of the worldview that's taught for these courses, unless you're using a Christian college for the dual enrollment program. And even then, not all Christian colleges teach from a biblical worldview or from a conservative view. Then you may have objection to some of the content that's being taught. Now, when your student does a CLEP exam, it's a little bit different because you don't have to worry about whether or not the college is teaching the thing that you want your student to learn, how they're teaching it, what textbook you're using, what the professor's personal views are. All of that's kind of avoided. And the reason for that is because CLEP exams are created by large groups of professors. And so whenever you have a large group of people that are putting together these question banks and writing these questions for the tests, some of those very strong viewpoints get watered down a little. And so what actually ends up happening is the CLEP exam is a little bit neutral. And I hate to say that every question on every test is going to, be neutral, but it's about as close as you can get for an exam, because again, it's this whole large group of professors that are writing these questions. So you really do have an opportunity to teach the content from your own worldview, from your own family's values, whatever those are, and then your student can learn using the books that you choose. So some of the themes that you're also going to notice as you start to look into college credit for your high school student are you're going to see adult themes. Now, you're going to have subjects that you maybe feel your student isn't ready to talk about. You may have subjects that you would rather be the teacher for, or you may have subjects that come from a professor's viewpoint in a way that's different than what you want your student to learn about. So when they're in high school and you still have that control over the content, then you may choose to teach those subjects yourself. Obviously, when your student is an adult and after high school, when they've gone to college, you're not going to have that same control. But when they're minors and when they're very young, in fact, sometimes students as young as 9th grade are taking CLEP exams, this is an opportunity for them to get college credit in a subject without dealing with some of those adult themes. So it's just really kind of a Christian-friendly approach, I'm going to say, because it allows you to marry your content and your beliefs and your values and your curriculum with an otherwise secular exam, and your student can then get that college credit. And you do that by going around all of those themes that they might otherwise have to deal with in a class. So let's talk about low stress CLEP planning, because I believe in low stress. Low stress is best. One of the things that we've done in our homeschool and that I know really, really works well in the homeschooling for college credit community is when you use a CLEP exam at the end of your normal semester or school year. And that allows your student to learn the subject slowly, deeply, thoroughly. There's no rushing, there's no focus on test prep while they're learning the material. And then at the end, when they have successfully finished their class, that's when you can begin the test prep. And when you do it this way, it's much lower stress because you don't even have to decide to take the CLEP exam until you know that your student has done a decent job with the material. So let's say that your student has spent all school year using Apologia biology. And so they've gone through the curriculum, they've really enjoyed it, they've done a good job. Right at the end of their school year, that's when you can have them do some CLEP prep. And that prep might just be a week or two of very targeted studying. You're going to want to scan the list of topics that are going to be on the exam, have them take some practice tests, and they can do some review. There's going to be questions on evolution, for instance. These obviously are going to be questions that your student is going to need to be able to answer correctly in order to pass the exam. So you get to handle how those different pieces are taught to your student. They don't have to believe the information in order to pass the exam. So this is an example of how you use the homeschool subject through the school year, and then you just bring the CLEP exam in as the final exam, if you will. So here's an example of resourceful high school planning, and I like that word resourceful because it's intentional that we're bringing college credit into this plan. So this is an example of a handful of courses that I've selected here for this hypothetical student. And as you can see, we've got just 3 grades. But again, your student can take CLEP exams at any grade, but they line up really well with about a 10th grade student who's working at or above grade level and who is motivated to take an exam. 11th and 12th grade students, it's going to mirror the content almost exactly, especially if you're using honors curriculum or college prep curriculum. So here's an example of what you might see in a high school plan: language arts during 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, American government, United States history, economics, Western civilization, psychology, and intro to computers. So this isn't a full plan, but this is a piece of a curriculum or of a schedule. So how do we inject CLEP? Well, once you have the classes picked out that you want your student to study, then I like to look up and see if there's any CLEP exams that match. Now, obviously for this presentation, I'm cheating just a little bit because I know which ones already match up. But you go ahead and you make your schedule, and then you pull up the list of CLEP exams and begin to pair them up. All of the subjects in your high school do not have to have a corresponding CLEP exam. I mean, that might even be overload, but you can find 1 or 2 or 3 subjects that probably do match up to a CLEP exam. And so those are going to be the ones that you're going to pull in and put on your schedule. Again, you don't have to match every single high school course to a CLEP exam. Now, the courses that I picked, of course, had matching CLEP exams. I knew that ahead of time. But this is a really good example because I feel like these are good courses, right? These are courses that most high school students take. So for 10th grade, we've got CLEP Analyzing and Interpreting Literature. I love this as a 10th grade exam because this is a reading comprehension exam. This exam is different from all the other CLEP exams in that there's not really much studying that needs to be done. This is just an opportunity for your student to read something and then analyze the literature and then answer the questions about the passage. You don't have to have them doing a lot of other outside learning, so it's a really good first exam. Students who are strong readers have good success with passing that test. American government has a corresponding exam, and then United States history actually has 2 exams. There's U.S. History 1 and then U.S. History 2, and those are taught chronologically. So if your student is studying United States history all year, at the halfway point, let's call it Christmas, they can take the U.S. History 1, and then during the second half of the year, at the end, they can take U.S. History 2. So just depending on how you break your curriculum up, that's a pretty typical way to break that down. So 11th grade, we've got a normal language arts curriculum. Again, you're using your own favorite curriculum here, but we're going to focus on American literature. Now, if if your curriculum doesn't use American literature, then maybe you want to use English literature, British literature. That would be fine. This is just an example. It's hypothetical. For economics, if you studied economics as an advanced placement course, it would be a full year economics course. But in that course, there is study of both macroeconomics and microeconomics. So you can either study it as one long economics course or in two different one semester economics courses, but there's CLEP exams for both. And then Western Civ is taught the same way as United States history. It's taught chronologically. So you've got two exams there that they can do. Now, during 12th grade, we've got the CLEP College Composition, and this is the only exam that has essays, and that matches up to freshman composition, or what you might call English 101. So that would be a good course to, or a good exam to take at the end of your 12th grade course. And also, we've got the English Literature CLEP here. So you remember I said over here, if you did American here, you could do English here, or you could flip-flop those. Then we have an elective, Introduction to Psychology. This is a really good one for you to teach while they're still in high school, instead of having them take this out of college. And then we have Intro to Computers. Again, this is just an example, but I want to show you now, if you were able to teach those courses and bring those CLEP exams in, what does that look like for college credit? So those exams will result in approximately 39 college credits. So if you're thinking about how much college credit is that, well, 30 credits is 1 year of college. So this schedule, if it was accepted at your student's target college later, would be over a year of college just wiped out because they would already have done it. So a significant amount of money. So I had the privilege last week of speaking at Elizabethtown College in Pennsylvania. And so part of my presentation for them was to pull up their CLEP policy and to talk a little bit about the CLEP exams that are accepted at that school. So I wanted to share with you, because I went in and I pulled this up, and this is a really great example of a college that has a great CLEP policy. And so I want to show you what those classes that we just looked at would be lined up to for a student who was going to go to this college. Now, you can find a similar chart like this at any website. This one is for this specific college. But what you would do is you would go to a different college's website and you would pull up their own list. So this also I found very interesting. I pulled up their current tuition for the school year that's coming. And if my student were able to bring in 30 credits, now remember that plan was 39, so we're just going to plan 30, that is going to save my student $51,000. Why so much money? Well, as you can see, based on the current rate for this coming school year, $37,000 is tuition alone. But if my student doesn't have to take those classes, that's going to shave an entire year of college off their time there. So that means that they're not going to have to pay for the housing and the room and board that comes with it and all of those extra fees that they would incur. So 1 year less on campus is going to save $51,000. Now, it's not part of this slide that you're looking at here, but let me also say that if my student graduates a year early, now they're going to be in their career and earning income a year early. So they may be earning $50,000 or $60,000 in their year after high school. So it really does make a huge, huge difference. So let me show you now that chart zoomed in just a little. So this is the section of the chart that deals with the composition and literature courses. You'll remember that we did analyzing and interpreting literature, American literature, composition, and English literature. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this chart. And again, your college is going to have a similar chart. And I'm going to look at the names of the exams, and then I'm going to see the score that's required. And 50 is considered passing by most schools. Some colleges want a little higher score than that. And then here, the equivalent Elizabethtown College course. This is super helpful that they've included this here, by the way. Not every college does, but if your college does, this is really helpful because I can see that right here, my student is going to have English literature, and when they have that brought into the college, it's going to come in as EN 240. So knowing exactly what it comes in as means that I can use the students' list of courses that they need and match them up perfectly. It's going to make my job very, very easy because I'm just going to have to cross-reference everything. So I'm looking for American government, macroeconomics, microeconomics, and psychology. That arrow's down a little bit, but it's right here. And you can see all of those were accepted. CLEP information systems. Oh, well, that's going to be on the next page. Here we go. We've got U.S. History 1 and 2, Western Civ 1 and 2, and look, they're both histories are accepted, both civs are accepted, and it tells me exactly which course these are going to come in as. And here's my business one, which is information systems, which is the computer course. So those 39 credits, if only even 30 of them were accepted, again, $51,000 saving. So that is an enormous savings for my student. Now you might be wondering, well, if they come in with 30 credits, aren't they going to come in as a sophomore as a transfer student, and I'm going to lose access to the freshman scholarships? But no, when your student earns college credit in high school, they still apply as a first-time incoming freshman. So this student will come in and apply as a freshman. If there are freshman scholarships that they're eligible for, they can still apply for those. If they get merit aid, they can still get that. And then after the student has matriculated and is enrolled, then their rank will get bumped up sometime during their first year, and then they will get those 30 credits added. So it'll look something like this. So their college transcript at this school will have all of these courses added to the transcript with the corresponding number of credits. Now, the grades won't come in. There's no grades with a CLEP. It's just pass-fail. But these will be added to their transcript. So they'll apply as a freshman. They'll get accepted. They'll enroll. And the college will ask to send an official CLEP College Board transcript. So you'll get your students' transcript, and that will be sent to the college. The registrar will record it onto the transcript, and it'll look something like this. So if that looks like something that you'd like to take advantage of, we have 2 Facebook groups that you can join. I'll put the links to both down below. The first is Homeschooling for College Credit by Exam. In that group, our families are focused on using CLEP, AP, DSST, or other types of credit by exam to get college credit in high school. The other group is our Homeschooling for College Credit Christian Colleges and Dual Enrollment group. Families in that group are looking for ways to save money and earn college credit using Christian resources and also taking those credits to Christian colleges after high school. Thank you very much.